is, last but not least, is the Christchurch Youth Council. James, if you'd like to come forward. And I think this is the first time you've appeared in front of the council for the Christchurch Youth Council. Is that right?
That's not true. Actually, my name is quoted wrongly. My name is James Adams, and I've presented in front of this council twice before.
Since we were elected? Oh.
No, not since you were elected.
Oh, sorry.
In front of the previous council.
Oh, phew.
But the first time with you people.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
We people are waiting to hear with anticipation.
So my name is James Adams and I'm here with the Christchurch Youth Council. Our organisation is committed to strengthening youth voice in the city. I only want to speak briefly today because I'm primarily here to sort of show my face and to say that yes, young people are interested in the future of the city and the issues and the decisions that are being made. But they might not show their interest by submitting to draft annual plans. I want to say a real big thank you to you for putting this out to consultation and for giving me the time to speak today, because so often I think we feel that decisions are made and we don't have any say in them, and just the feeling of that someone is listening is really great. At our annual We Speak event about 2 years ago, about 200 young people were gathered together and they presented Roger Sutton with a list of 5 things that Christchurch young people want. These included cleaning up the Heathcote and Avon rivers and a new sport and recreation facility in the east, which we dubbed QE3. Today, none of these have been delivered upon. And I'm not going to condemn you people for failing to make these 5 things happen, because I feel that me and other young people don't really care about them anymore. At this point, I think it's important to note that the Christchurch Youth Council can't claim to speak for every young person, but the message that we're getting loud and clear from everyone that we talk to almost is that young people just want to live a normal life. And I think the council has, even if not a legal, an ethical responsibility to make sure that young people can lead normal lives in this city. We acknowledge that the council is certainly in a very tight spot financially, and that we're not accountants and that we won't know all the answers. But what I would like to do is not to present 5 big things, but 2 small things that I'd like you to consider. Firstly, I believe that the council has a responsibility, again, maybe not a legal responsibility, but certainly an ethical one, to ensure that affordable quality housing is available, as this is a key way to get young people, and in fact all people, out of poverty. Whether you do this by borrowing money or from selling off assets, I don't know, but we've got to get young people and everyone to be in safe, warm houses that don't flood every time it rains. And so I don't know how you're going to do that, but we'd really like it to happen. Secondly, we'd like to be able to go places, and increasingly cars are not the appropriate way to do that. A, because it takes a huge amount of time to get anywhere, and secondly, because cars are, nasty, stinking things that are bad for our climate and for everyone else walking along the street. So we'd like to see the council investing more in infrastructure for public and active transport. Some of the things that we've talked about as a youth council are around bus infrastructure, and we'd really like to see the council pushing that the Central City Bus Exchange is built as quickly as possible, and we think that the timeline that Sarah has put forward is good, and we would like to hope that that doesn't get pushed off into the future like several of the other major projects. And we'd also like to see the cycling infrastructure in place as soon as possible. I cycle to school every day, and I can't afford to wait 5 years for that infrastructure to be in place, because in 5 years I'm likely to be somewhere else. Though I could be here if I felt that Christchurch was the place where I wanted to be, and where I could get places safely. And so, in conclusion, I believe that young people have largely lost interest in big promises for fantastic things in the future. What we'd really like to see is good, decent, normal lives here and now. And we acknowledge that the council hasn't got a lot of funds to do that, but I've talked about infrastructure for public and active transport and affordable quality housing, and those are two things I think that you really could do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tim, then Glenn.
Hey James, I do remember when you first moved to Christchurch, you lived next door to us, and there's great speeches at Keshmere Primary. And if these are your two small things, I'd hate to see your five big things. I guess just on a side issue, one of the things that my kids talk about and their friends talk about is just nothing to do, and I acknowledge Yanni did fantastic work and worked really hard and a long time to get the Washington Skate Park finally completed. I'd be interested in some thoughts on that. The more instead of the malls, some other options that perhaps along the lines of the green the rubble, smaller things, but a lot of them. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely, I think there is a feeling that if you want to go and hang out somewhere with your friends and you don't want to go to someone's house, the obvious place is the mall, and in some ways I think that's a real shame. There's been talk of various youth hubs, specifically for young people to spend time. I'm never sure if that's quite the response, because young people, like everyone in society, like all groups in society, are so varied that what one group of people would want in a youth hub or a youth space would be so entirely different from other people. Some of the things I would mention is I quite enjoy cycling and walking, and so getting things like the tracks in the Port Hills ready so that people can spend time there, and the McLean's Island bike track after the rain and the wind, I think it was, all the trees were blown down there, and we're really grateful that a temporary measure has been sorted out there so that people can now cycle some of those tracks again.
Glenn?
Thank you. I'm aware the Auckland City Council has its own structure with the Youth Council here, and we have had one or two discussions about this. How would you envisage some kind of parallel structure with the Christchurch City Council if we wanted to go down that path?
As far as I'm aware, we've got a time for all our youth council to come and talk to you in early June, where no doubt we will discuss this further. The Youth Council has just gone through the last year. We've been making ourselves an independent organisation, which has taken quite a lot of time and energy, and is something that we're quite proud to have. Though, yeah, as I say, it's probably not always the easiest for us to get our messages forward by writing submissions to draft annual plans and so on. In many ways, because a lot of the issues and the decisions to some extent have already been made, that you've decided sort of what the scope of the project is. And so we'd like to be included or just asked what we think when an issue comes up. And then we would like the support so that we can reach out and meet more young people, because we're very aware that we want to get an idea of what all young people are thinking. And I think that the City Council could help with that. I'm
going to let Paul ask the last question.
What do you think about an adventure park that actually had world-class cycleways, zip lines, flying foxes, luges, built somewhere really, really close to the city?
Say it sounds great.
It sounds great. Yes, it would be fantastic. I would love to have such a thing. Again, though, I'd like to be able to go home and live in a warm, safe house and cycle to school more, if anything.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you very much, and much appreciate you coming and presenting to us. And that's the end of today's meeting.